questions. They are your best friends or your new best friends. Just always asking yourself why and going layers and layers deeper will unravel so much. And it can be from everyday things like, on the job, people are doing things a certain way and you've been doing something a certain way. Ask yourself, like, why are we doing it that way? Isn't there a better way? Isn't there a more successful way, a faster way, a more fulfilling way? And you can ask that with anything in your life all the time. Like, if you yourself or someone tells you this is how we do things, the first question you should have is ask why. And you can ask yourself that quietly, or you can ask it loudly. That's up to you. But the process of constant inquiry is the most rewarding one, because in that process you will kind of unpeel layers of kind of perceived truth. And I will have to do another video on truth generally, but on perceived truth, but they've just become accepted truth, but it's not really truth. And once you start asking why, you get deeper and deeper, whether that is really, what is really behind that. Like, why are we doing certain things? Why do you think yourself as a certain person, like, versus others? Maybe that's holding you back being the person that you really want to be, because you tell yourself, oh, I'm a banker, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a consultant, I'm a manufacturer, I'm whatever it is that you do. It doesn't really matter. I'm a mom. You can be so much more than that, right? This is just what you're currently doing, or how you're currently perceiving yourself, or worse, how others perceive you, and that's how you limit yourself. It could be, oh, I can't play an instrument, I'm not musical. Well, that is just your current perception of things, but that's not true. You could ask why, and then you will realize, oh, I actually never tried, and maybe if I tried, I could play it, and there you go, suddenly you can start playing an instrument. And so this constant inquiry, or let's take another example, like you are in a conversation with someone and you say something. You can ask in that moment, why did you say that? What does that tell you? Did you say that to make the other person feel better? And why is that the case? Like, why do you care? Or did you say that to ridicule the other person, to elevate yourself versus the other person? Why did you do that? Why do you have to do that? Why don't you feel enough in the first place? Why do you have to ridicule someone else? Why do you have to make fun of someone else? What does that tell you about yourself? And then you realize, oh, because I don't feel, and again, this is a fictitious example, but you can take any example. Because I don't feel good enough. I need to kind of put myself on a pedestal versus the other person. So you can ask yourself, why don't you feel good enough? Oh, because my parents always made me feel not good enough, by telling me always whatever I achieved was not good enough. So it's basically a limiting belief that has been planted really early in your childhood. But once you realize that, you can kind of undo it. So it's like, actually, it's kind of silly, just because someone, in this case your parents, told me that. Why? That doesn't make it true. That just means other people told me at a really early age. They influenced it, and like, obviously everything in your upbringing, in your development, everything every day influences you. That's why, and I did another video on that, that's why it matters so much who you surround yourself, the people you surround with, whether it's work, relationships, friends, doesn't matter. The people you kind of, they rub off on you, and of course you rub off on them. And so the people you want to surround yourself with are people that are like where you want to be, who you want to be, rather than people that are holding you back. For example, people that don't make you feel good about yourself, or people that don't challenge yourself to become a better version of yourself. So constantly asking yourself why. Like, also, why do I want to go on holiday? Or why am I annoyed about what this person said or did? Or why do I need a certain thing? And then you can, again, like, let's say, take the holiday example. Oh, I really need to go on holiday. And you ask yourself, why? I hope the battery is not going to run out. You ask yourself, why do I need to go on holiday? Oh, because my job is so stressful. Okay, so there's, your job, maybe there's something you can change, maybe something you can adapt. Or maybe it's because I really need the sun. Okay, maybe, and again, I'm asking the big maybes, maybe you can live in a different place. But people never tend to ask this question because they think, oh, that's way too out there. This is my life. No, your life can be anything. You don't have to live in that city. You don't have to do that job. You don't have to hang out with these people. Anything can be changed. Now, is it going to be easy? No, not necessarily. But you can take gradual steps also. You don't have to make radical changes. Usually people make radical changes when radical things happen. Traumatic experiences. Someone dies. You have a health crisis or so, and suddenly that's a wake-up call. But you can also make gradual changes towards where you want to be. But the power of asking questions in like whenever you have a craving or an aversion to something, whenever you do something, whenever people say something, it triggers something in you. Whenever you think of yourself as a certain person, or you think you cannot do certain things, you can ask why? And, again, you might get to uncomfortable places, but what you will uncover is like real powerful insights that let you then start changing towards not having an aversion against something, or not having this constant craving for something. For example, sweets. You say, oh, I really love sweets. I need to have sweets, or I need to have coffee every morning. No, you don't. So then you will tell me, and I'm not saying don't have coffee, right? You just want to, like, the need for coffee, or the need for something, or the aversion for something. That's what you want to, basically it's controlling you rather than, and so it's limiting your freedom, it's limiting your life. It puts boundaries, and you say, oh, coffee is fine. But then you don't get the coffee, and then you get cranky. And also the coffee, it's the coffee, and it gives you a flash. Maybe it has some side effects. Also, it's not healthy to have that coffee. So there's many other questions, and maybe this is a silly example, but I think it's a good example because many people have a coffee addiction, and you don't have it. And then let's say, okay, you realize it's just an addiction. It just, it's a habit, makes you feel good. You have a craving for it because your body got used to it. So then you stop one day, and then you have the terrible headache, and you really need that coffee. But you keep at it, or maybe you just drink a cup less. Rather than having 5, you have now 4, then 3, 2, and gradually, and after a couple of weeks, you won't need any coffee anymore. Now, does that mean you have to stop drinking coffee at all? No. You can then just have coffee when you like, rather than needing it. You don't need that coffee anymore when you wake up. And so asking questions and asking why continuously and constantly, like, I don't look at it as a chore. It's like it's a pleasure because it's fun. It's because it's exploration. You discover stuff, and you realize that certain patterns or certain behaviors or certain thoughts about yourself, about the world, about other people, about things you need, you don't want to, etc. They're all just creations of your mind and creations of habit, etc. And kind of who you think of yourself as. But anything can be changed, right? So it might not always be possible to change it immediately, but gradually anything can be changed, and you can change your career, you can change your life, you can change what life is about, you can change your perspective, you can change your religion, you can change the deepest things, you can change your identity, you can change how you feel about yourself, you can change what you value in life, anything. And it all starts with a simple question. When you say, this is me, or this is what I need, or this is what I don't like, ask yourself why. And then you ask another why. Whatever answer you get, you ask another why, and you get deeper and deeper, and you might again get to uncomfortable places, but you can do this in your own. You will get, let's put it that way, you will get out as much as you are willing to go to places that are uncomfortable and challenge yourself. The more rewarding that process will be, and the more you will get out of it, and the more dramatic changes you can make, and as a result, the more control you get of life. And that's what you really want to be, right? You want to be in control of life. Like, you want to be able to to influence the level of joy you have, ideally a lot, because that's what life is about, really. Like, it needs to be a joyful life. If it's a life of suffering, what is it worth living for? And so by asking these questions, you will be able to get closer to answers that allow you to make changes that bring you closer to where you want to be, where you really want to be, not where you think you want to be. And that's the power of asking questions. And once you start doing that, life will never be the same again.